This is Baruch, and I'm here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, inviting you to come and learn Shtickle Torah with me. We're learning these inyanim are can run kind of deep. We're on page Ayin Test of the Shar Kabbanos. We're learning about Rosh Hashanah. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to read across the top because we have a little bit of traveling to do, and then we'll come back in the next day or maybe possibly today. Start going through the typical monos to get a better feeling for what's playing. So here we are. We're going to start right here. So we have been explaining the fact that there are two different sides to the year. One side is female, and that's which runs from the month of Nisan through the month of Elul. And then there's a male side of the year that runs from Tishrei through Adar. And we came up and we saw that there's a reason why we understand that Adar, and he actually gave us the mechanisms for understanding how it is that there's a distinction between the two and why the Chodesh, which is Ma'uvar, the extra month that's added, has to be in Adar and not in Elul. Now, so we explained how we do it in Adar, and we explained how we do it in Elul. Real deep explanation of why it's different between those two. Didn't really quite get, but we'll keep looking. So we're on number Nun Zion. It says like this: Gam Tavim Tam Lama Toach Cheskia. What was the mistake that Cheskia made? She'iver Nisan ben Nisan. This is what the Mishnah talks about, that he actually made the extra month of Nisan instead of Adar. Why it was that the Chachamim didn't agree with him. But the real reason is the Adar refers to the male month. And as a result of that, the month are only 6, but there are 7 bechinos. The lowest bechino is the bechina of the peh. Let's go over the bechinos of the head. The bechinos of the head are the gugolta, the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So if you add that up, it comes out to be 7. But there are only 6 months that correspond to them, so we're missing one. That's the reason why we added an extra month. So therefore, you can complete that cycle, although you don't do it every year. You can complete that cycle with the last month of the part of the year which is masculine. Which is next to corresponds to the mouth of the Zohar. So when you come to the next month, now you make a new month. So this completes the mouth, so to speak, of the Zohar. But Nisan on the end, it's from the other side of the year. It's from the Shana. He calls it the other ear. Abor, the year is coming. And they say like this, because it's from the months of the female side. You can't complete the male side with taking from the female side, apparently. So it doesn't get completed that way. So then he says, V'da. So one time he heard from my master, that's Marchu writing this, Drosh Acher Be'inyan Zeh, another drush, and even though that we see that it looks like it's going to be the opposite of what we heard up above, but nonetheless they have the same direction, they're coming to the same point. The Olami, she has Biram, a person according to how we understand them. So this is the Inyan. Da, ki cheshbon Hashanim maschila b'tishrei. When we count the years, like we're coming up, this is 5782, and when Rosh Hashanah comes, we'll be in 5783. B'cheshbon chodashim b'nisan, and then the cheshbon starts in Nisan. So he said, excuse me, and I think he says that the cheshbon of the Shanim maschil b'tishrei, the cheshbon of the chodashim, in the count of the month, starts from Nisan is the first month. Tishrei is the beginning of the year. Kaniska b'Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. This is all brought out in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. V'Inyanu, and the Inyan is like this: Kisheshes achad she'achorif. So the 6 months of the winter. Mitishrei ad Adar. Heim sod shisha kitzvos of the Tiferes. You could really tie them to the 6 kitzvos of Tiferes, which means to say the 6 kitzvos is your anpin. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So he said, and he counts it up. Chesed, V'ad Yitzod, Shebezer Anpin. So therefore, because you're doing it that way, it becomes the secret of the concept of a year. Below besod chodesh and not chodesh. Now, I didn't quite see how that metaphor works. Hopefully, we'll see it in the tip. V'achar chodesh Adar. So then, after the month of Adar, Shehu Yisod Shel Zer Anpin Kenizkar, which is the 6th month, and the number 6 corresponds to Yisod. Oz Lamata B'mena, then below that, Maskil Binyan and Nekeva B'malchus. Then immediately after that, you start building up the Nekeva. The Nekeva side is of the Malchus. B'shisha Kitzvos, and then the 6 Kitzvos of the Nukva, Heim Shisha Chodshei Hakayis, then they're going to represent the 6 months of the year. Minisan ad Elul. V'nimsa Kefizeh, so it comes out according to this count. Ki Chodesh Av, who behod that Odesh Chav, that Av is in Hod, shall the Nekeva, the Nehafach L'Dova, and it's turned from Hod, from Hod into Dova, which is uncleanness or death. So therefore, that's the time when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Let's look a little bit more. So I got that call in, so let me start over here on page Pei Aleph, and let's see what we have to say. He says, so now you can understand this particular expression of the rabbis. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Lo so the Torah only really needed to start from the month, from this month, meaning Nisan. And the reason is, the Visha Nisan who Rosh Chodesh HaNekeva. That's the reason why. It means that the year could start there. The year of the month could start there. So let's see if it's with Sark Torah Lahaskil Ele B'Chodesh Hazeh. So he says, therefore it mentions the Chodesh. Anikra Zeh Hashar LaHashem. And then this month is called, therefore, the gate to Yud Kei Vav Kei. So that, therefore, there is where it's fit that the Torah should begin. Then he said, "V'nachsa the Inyan Rishon." So let's go back to the first idea that we talked about. And let me go stop right there. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop. And let me go back to the Tivuk Avonos as we're getting into a little bit different place. So let's see how the Tivuk works out over here. So we're going to start on number Nun Zion in the Tivuk Avonos. Where is it? Down here. Here we go. So reading the light print, the old nuchul lahabin al piha akdama on his carrot. So as we explained, the male and the female parts of the year. Mashatoah Chizkiah HaMelech v'Iber B'Nissen B'Nissen was the mistake that Chizkiah HaMelech made when he made the new month in Nisan and not in Adar. The Hainish Asa Shnei Chodashim Nisan. He made a Nisan Rishon and he made a Nisan Sheni. B'makom Shnei Chodshi Adar, instead of the 2 months of Adar, V'ldecha B'Hoda the Chachamim, and the Chachamim didn't like this. Atam Mevar Shehizkiah B'Toah. So now explain that Chizkiah made a mistake. B'Zeh Shelo Yadasod Iber Chodesh Adar Davka, that he didn't know that the Iber had to be in Adar, specifically in Adar, only in Adar. Ketam Shemavirim as a Chodesh Adar Davka. Why does it have to be only Adar? Who machmash shaykh l'chadshach hadacher, because it refers to the male part of the year. V'ayidei Iber HaChodesh Mashlimim as the Pash of the Dacher, and this is what happens is that we are completing there the mouth of the Dacher. These are the kunim of the light that flows through that mouth. So now you can understand why specifically it has to be Adar. Because this is actually Adar, normally is like the 6th Sphira, but you make a new one, you make a 7th one, and it has to be for the Malchus of Adar. So therefore, the new month, the additional month, has to be at the end of the winter cycle, which is the Chodesh, the Chodshei of the winter. Shehu Adar Sheni, which would make a second Adar Kashem Shalpeh Omed Ba'achrona the Mata B'Chachoyte, because you have to go from the nose, which represents Yesod, has to go. The next place has to be the mouth, and you have to get to the mouth. In order to do that, we make a new month. The Tam Hizkiv Iver has Chodesh Nisan for this reason. So therefore, Hizkiv, who really was ma'aber the month of Nisan, Shuha Chodesh Rishon Shal Nuk, which is the first month of the Nuk, below Iver has Chodesh Akron Shal Zah, and he didn't do the last month of Zer Anpin. Because if you're going to figure out and you're going to complete the chodesh that concerns to the mouth, so therefore, since the mouth is the last of the tikkunim of the Rosh, so therefore we have to say it has to be that one. But we understand also specifically that it has to be Adar. Why? Because Adar represents the male, and it's the male side of the year that we are completing here. Milvad Zos not only this, but there was another mistake. Because the making of the new month, as a pad of the chura, it comes to really to fulfill what I just said, the mouth of the male, which takes place when you make the new chodesh. But the pad of the nuk, it's done in a different way. We have this phrase malchus peh. So in order to the nuk is malchus. So in order to do that, you have to go through the months, and each time you do the months, this is the way I understand it. You say mekudesh, we go through that process. That actually completes the malchus part. So you don't have to add on to it, and add on to it as mechad shechakayins to add on to the months of the summer. So you can't mix the months of the summer with the months of the winter. So therefore that's the mistake. You can't make a path out of the first month of the year. It has to be the last month of the year. The Chad Shechakayit Shehem Neged Nuk, which corresponds to Malchus. The other as Chad Shechachorish Shehem Neged Zah. So what you had to do was you had to make a new month in the winter times, and that makes the mouth for Zer Anpin. Number Samach Gibel, Al-Atan is Bar Kates in their Mazim Yud Beis Chachodshim, Barosh Nuk over Rosh Zer Anpin. So now we understand how you get to the 12 months by taking the 6 of the Nuk, taking the 6 of the male. V'ata Kasim Maruchud Drush Acher, so now he heard a different drush from his rabbi, that is the ARI Kodesh, Sheshama Memorah HaRabzal. So he says, Shechad Shehashana Nirmazim Begufa de Zer Anpin. So let's say like this, there's a way to look at the months of the year as being a part of I think he's going to say the limbs of Zer Anpin and also of the Malchus, for the Nuk. That is in regards, so each one of them is a book and not in regards to their heads. Now, I don't know what he meant by that, so let's see. So he says, Av Sheshnei Hadrashim, even though the two drushim nirim kasoshim zeh, they consider that is this drush that we're about to hear. You can see it appears to be a contradiction to the drush that we just learned. So because when we talk about the months, we start at the beginning of a drush sheni near mazim begufa, but the next drush, the one we're doing now, really refers to the body. But if you really want to know the root of this idea, they're all the same. You call Eva Beguf because every limb of the body, Yeshlo Shorsh Barosh, it has a root in the Rosh. The Vichav Chodesh Nisan Shuhuz Ruah Yamim Beguf, so let's take Nisan. It starts out with Chesed. Chesed is the right arm. Shorsh Begugolta Barosh, but it has a root in the skull of the Rosh. The Chodesh Iyar, Shehuz Ruach small, which would be the left arm, small Shebeguf, Shorsha Ba'ozen Yamin Shebarosh. It has a ruach, it has a root in the right ear of the head. He's going to get into this, and he's going to explain which one goes which. So you see there's two different kinds of counts when we talk about the year. Because the year, generally speaking, Mascheles betishrei. It begins in Tishrei. Gedech said Mereshus Hashanah, because we have a pasuk said from the beginning of the year. The Koyal Tishrei, that's talking about Tishrei. The feast Seder HaChodashim, but if you count according to the order of the months, Maschila ben Nisan Ketechsev over there, as we said before, it starts with Nisan. Rishon hu lechem l'chadshel Hashanah. So this is the months of the year. The first one is going to be Nisan, the Kedushin and B'Pesach, Rosh Hashanah. That's all over there. Let's look a little bit more. We're moving along here. It says Sheshes Chodshel HaChoref. So the 6 months of the winter are really a reference to the six spheros of Zer Anpin, Hanikra Tiferes. Zer Anpin in this case means talking about the actual words of the Rav. He referred to it as Tiferes is another word for Zer Anpin. Tishrei B'Zerua Yomim, so the month, which we call Tishrei, this goes with the right arm. Cheshbon, the Zerua small, goes to the left arm. Kislev, Begufa, Tevis, Beregel, Yomim. So Tishrei is like Tiferes, I guess. And so therefore it's the body. And then you go to Tevis, that's the right leg. Shvat is going to be the left leg. Adar is going to be the Yesod. So you could touch the months together with the limbs. So this you understand why it is that when you count the years, Maskil B'Tishrei, why? Because if you look at the Shana in the year in general, so let's see, we begin before the days of the winter. We understand that winter goes with Zer Anpin, the male aspect. And then after that begins the months of the summer. Shehud Nuk, which is Malchus, is Tachazam, which is outside or below Zer Anpin. Amnim bepratas, but in specific, near Mazah Bechodesh and Nuk. We always count the months by the Nuk. V'halkein maskil cheshbon the Chodesh b'Nisan shu b'Chodesh Rishon shel Nuk, which is the first month of the Nuk. Going on a little bit more. So note ki lamata b'Yesod omed is Nuk. So below the Yesod. In other words, everything flows from Yesod into the Nuk. Shehi Sefiras HaMalchus. So therefore, when we complete the months of the winter, B'chodesh Adar shuhu neged Yesod Zav, Adar, which corresponds to the Yesod Zer Anpin, Maschilin Chodshech HaKayish Shehem neged Nuk. So therefore, that's where you see the beginning of the months of the year, which correspond to the Nuk. Moving on, he says, Shisha Chodshech HaKayish B'Ramazah B'Shisha Kitzvos the Nuk. So now we're talking about, when we said the 6 Kitzvos of Zer Anpin before, we're talking about the winter. Now we have 6 Kitzvos in the Nuk, which will talk about her months. Our direction is Boyer Bazan. This goes the same way. Nisan, once again, is the right shoulder. Iyar Bezro is small. Sivan is going to be the body, which is the Tiferes. Tammuz Beregel Yomim. Av Beregel small. Elul B'Yesod. So this is the Chaluko Zu Shel Chadash and Begufa the Zer Anpin v'Nuk. So the way that these things get divided between Zer Anpin and its Nuk, Nimsiki Chadji Tammuz Av, those 2 months of Ein B'Shtei Raglayim refers to the 2 legs. Atzman Shehem Netzach and Hod. So therefore the base of Mikdash was destroyed in Av, Shehu Neged Hod, which corresponds to Hod of the Nuk. Shehi regel small, which is her left leg. Ki ha-churban kuba pechinas David, because the churban is destruction. Shal osios shalo, because the concept David is also the word hov. If you move the letters around, shal osios shalo heim kamo hod, el shehem uchufachos, but they're switched around. Kafi shenirmas b'pasav v'hodi nehefach al lai lamashkis. It's a pasuk that said my hod, which usually means my glory, but here it means my hod. It switches around, Allah the mashkis become a destroyer. So this is all the same idea, that we change the world into Dove, which is bad. Like we said of above, that we see that the months are related in general to the Nuk. The Chodesh Rishon, the Klaus of Chodashim, Chodesh Nisan. And when we talk about this, the first one is going to be Nisan. So he says, so according to what we learned previously about the male side and the female side, then you'll be able to understand Maima Rebbe Yitzchak, when Rebbe Yitzchak comes over and he says, we only needed to start the Torah from that pasuk. Why? Shehi mitzvah rishonis and it's not because it's the first mitzvah that the Jews were commanded to about. Tam pasuk bereshis. So why did they begin with bereshis? Mishum koach mazav, because the power of his deeds. Higid la'amos, that he said to his people, to say to them, nachlos goyim, that he's going to give us the inheritance of goyim according to how we behave. So the question is about what was Rebbe Yitzchak wondering about. And this is what he wonders about. Because the Torah really needed to start with the month of Nisan, Rosh, below Bereshis, borrow not from that place, as we're going to see as we go on a little bit more. He says, a Nuk Nikra Tzedek. One of the things that we say, let me see, make sure that I got in the right place here. Yeah. The Nuk is called Tzedek, Ba'alach and Amar, in regards to her, it says, Pischali Sharet Tzedek, open up your gates of Tzedek. Zeh Shar Hashem, and this is the opening to get to Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kasher Olim Mata Lamala, as you're going, think about us, from our bottom place upwards. Mebriya Latzilus. After La'alos Aladerek parts of Nuk, so it's impossible to go up unless you go through the parts of the Nukva, She Hashar Latzilus, which she is the opening, the beginning of Atzilus. Hamafteach, she is the key, the kones, the call hadre ginzer ayon, to enter into all of the chambers of the hidden things that come in the world of Atzilus. Gamosha Amra Bazar, like Zohar says, Da'i lo ya'ol b'chai tira, that if you don't go through this gate, lo ya'ol alman, you'll never go up. So he said, B'keven shachanok, he harishona. So since she's the first one, and she's also called the gate. The gate that allows us, that is the Shechina is talking about, allows us to come into Atzilus. So therefore that's the reason why you have to begin with a Nukva, that we said that the Torah should begin in that month, Shuhan Rosh, the Chod Hanuk, which is the beginning of the month, of the months of the Nukva, and as a result of that, this is the opening in Malchus into Atzilus. The Baruch Fleischman here took an elevator call out. Thank you.